Hello, fellow educators. Welcome to the 11th episode of Teacher's Tent, a place to regain your strength after a long day, week, or maybe semester this 2023. I'm your host, Steve G. Thanks for your feedback on last week's episode. Many new teachers shared feeling encouraged and cared for after last week's sensitive subject. In the poll that came with the episode, over 60% of teachers expressed feeling lonely in the last month. Given the importance of this topic, this week I have picked a response from Ms. Aza, a licensed school-based clinician for Dallas ISD in Dallas, Texas. She wisely expresses that loneliness is not always caused by isolation from being around people. We can be alone and not feel lonely, and we can be surrounded by people and feel extremely lonely. She can very much relate to this reference as the only mental health professional in multiple schools. She further adds that loneliness is an emotion not spoken about enough, but can be felt very often. She hopes we can normalize conversations around loneliness and cultivate more meaningful connections in the workplace. Ms. Aza suggests that acknowledging our feelings and surrounding ourselves with people we trust can help us create a more supportive and inclusive work environment for all. Thank you, Ms. Aza, for your valuable input. Today, we'll focus on a topic that is quite challenging for us educators in the Northern Hemisphere, where the school year is soon coming to an end: spring fever. Scientific American says there's an illness that has been documented by poets for centuries. Its symptoms include a flushed face, increased heart rate, appetite loss, restlessness, and daydreaming. It's spring fever. Can we prevent it? I believe both no and yes would be appropriate here. No, because it's an unavoidable mixture of tiredness in kids, a desire they have to be outdoors, and in the case of older students, the hormones. And I would say yes, because if you follow these suggestions, you will hopefully be minimizing its toxic effects in your own classroom. In this episode, as usual, I'll share my 5 things which I believe help reduce the effects of this dreaded malaise. So let's hope you enjoy today's presentation. Please keep sharing your feedback after listening, either through comments on Instagram or emails, in things you think would help toss spring fever out of the classroom. So let's talk about spring fever. The first thing that would help in this case is consistency. A good definition of this useful discipline is no means no, today and tomorrow. In my latest presentation, Becoming Effective Teachers, I rank this trait as number 6. We have already stressed the importance of consistency in episode 9, when we mentioned the 5 essential things in a classroom. It's easy as the year progresses, however, that we teachers get a bit lax with our students. In most cases, this is harmless, but we should assess if that lassitude is actually fueling spring fever, in which case it would be advisable to stop it. I try hard to keep the same routines in my classroom until the very last day of school. Of course, everything is more relaxed towards the end, but reminding students that we still follow rules, no matter the season, can go a long way. I decide ultimately how much leeway I'll give according to what I perceive in my students' daily behavior. Our own fatigue is sometimes to blame too. Being tired can often cloud our judgment and make us say yes to things that we normally wouldn't allow in the classroom, leading sometimes to undesired consequences. A second element that is effective against spring fever is keeping goals. After the state test, many teachers experience this because there seems to be no purpose for learning anymore in their classrooms. Our school system has unfortunately become so reliant on testing here in the United States that many teachers feel there's little left to do after that. I tell my students that after the state test, we will definitely work at a different pace, but we will still work. That creates the expectation that our goals have not been completely accomplished yet. I present 2 clear missing objectives. The first is helping my team. For the following days or weeks, I become a science or math teacher, helping my co-workers whose exam has still not taken place. A second objective is filling up what I get to call my students' backpack for middle school. In my district, fifth graders move on to middle school in sixth grade. So we work on many skills that they will need to have to be successful at that level. Anything from note taking strategies to keeping a backpack clean can be part of this goal. This provides a general sense of purpose for those last weeks of school. A third useful component is the good old fashioned carrot and the stick. Show your students at this time of the year that you're ready to play and are willing to take them out to recess or give them free screen time, but some of us haven't finished our work yet, have we? This will create a highly effective peer pressure where those who are almost done will encourage and even help those who aren't. Students with spring fever might resist you, but no child can resist peer pressure. By putting the ball on their field, you are strategically showing them how much fun you are and how much fun they could have if only they finish their work. Allowing for certain differences in routines is a great fourth thing to do. It can certainly help relieve some pressure. When students sick with spring fever face extremely rigid teachers unwilling to bend at all, they tend to rebel. Giving students extra recess, free reading time for all, or simply organizing a class picnic to celebrate a goal makes students feel like they're rewarded for the year's hard work. A final fifth valuable antidote against this disease is patience. I know what you're thinking. Patience? Ask me for anything but that right now. I have none left. I totally understand. I'm a teacher myself. I get you. There are days that are challenging. However, the combination of a stressed, impatient teacher and a student infected with spring fever is usually highly explosive. Therefore, we need to find patience. So, get on your knees, on your yoga mat, purchase it on Amazon, but be sure to keep a good dose of this precious ingredient that will allow you to get to the last day of school in one piece. In conclusion, spring fever comes with the last days of school. However, applying these ideas in your class, namely consistency, keeping goals, using the carrot and the stick, allowing some differences, and being patient, should allow you to mitigate or maybe eliminate this toxic element from your classroom. These are the top five on my list that we have covered in today's episode. Is spring fever avoidable? I would love to hear what suggestions would make your top five list. Feel free to email me this or other comments to steve at teacherstent.com. Again, that's steve at teacherstent.com. Or you can follow Teachers Tent on Instagram. That's Teachers Tent altogether, lowercase. In the meantime, join us next week for our podcast's 12th episode. I have been offered a job at another school. Should I take it? This is the time when the window opens in many districts for moves to other campuses, or when we hear about jobs in other districts too. Should we take those offers? Even though this is a strictly personal decision, we at Teachers Tent wish to share some hints to consider that might help you make a good decision. So, please let me know in advance any thoughts and tips you might have on this hard topic. And if you're enjoying the show, please don't forget to let your colleagues and friends know about and bring them to Teachers Tent. There's room for them too. Have a great week.